episode 2.
Oh, yeah.
And this episode was almost scrapped. Well, we almost didn't do it because I was sitting in traffic.
Fuck traffic.
California traffic, man.
Yeah, I was pissed off. But, thought I was cool till we brought our guest in, Josh Blanton.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, sir.
Hello.
A long time coming.
Where's my camera?
Your camera is right there. It's actually a pretty good shot of you, too. Long time coming. I think we were talking about getting you on last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know last episode we talked about how we started last year, and then we fucked around, got caught up in life, and then now we're back to it. So
Life happens for sure.
Zae interview was a smash hit.
Yes, it was.
Everybody loved it.
Pretty good, yeah.
10 million views, 10 million subscribers. As Zae sets the levels, we good?
Oh, yeah. I'm chilling.
Yeah, so Josh, welcome.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
I told you we're gonna get your story, and the only backstory that I know about this man is that you're manager between here and Rosie's, from Arizona.
Yep.
How old are you?
I'm 42.
42. Oh, still young.
42. Young buck.
Okay. So just imagine everybody's gonna hear this because they probably will.
Yeah.
Your employees, your bosses.
Yep.
Let's just start us. Where did Josh start?
Start off in Phoenix, Arizona, 1981.
Mm-hmm.
Represent. Just grew up there, going to public school. Played sports growing up, just like everyone else. Had a little brother. We used to fight and played street football and the whole nine like that. Went to high school. Wasn't the greatest student, so I kind of just did what I had to do to get through it.
What was a normal high school day like?
Oh, man. Early on, it was waking up, going to school, or going for a run, doing sport. I was a wrestler. I used to wrestle, so I would get up early, do a workout, go to school, and then go to wrestling practice, go home, do my homework, and not eat. And then, I played sports all through school, growing up, football, baseball, soccer, wrestling, since I was in second grade. Like I said, I had a little brother who was always there with me, so I had a live-in friend, even when we were moving on the road and doing all this crazy stuff. But
We'll get to that.
Yeah. So other than that, it's just normal everyday life. Latchkey kid, walked home from school. Mm-hmm. There was no school drop-offs when I was going to school or school pickups. That's
okay. Any siblings?
Yeah, just my little brother. That's it.
Little brother?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, you never said that. I'm such a good host.
I had 2 twin brothers, actually. They passed away before I was born. So they would have been like 44 and 46 right now. I'm sorry, 46 right now.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was
What's your family like? Your parents?
Well, my dad was a saint. He was a nurse for 40 years. Mm-hmm. He ICU nurse, ER nurse, the whole nine. He was just a good dude. Everyone.
You say 40 years?
40 years he did it, yeah. Everyone I talked to, I used to work the same hospital he was at.
Okay.
And everyone I talked to would always just I don't know, give him so much praises, and I just always wanted to kind of live up to that as just being a good dude, a nice guy, and didn't want any negativity because he never had any, But he was great. My mom, on the other hand, was a little estranged. She was there for the most part, but life happens, and she got into the streets and the drugs, and she took off. So
oh wow,
it was just dad raising me and my brother for my freshman year. No, sorry, my 8th grade year. 8th grade, my brother was in 6th grade.
So from 8th grade on, your mom was out of the picture.
Out of the picture.
Okay.
She came back in later on, but it was not a pleasant interaction.
How long ago was that?
When she came back around, it was probably 6 years after she left. She did end up getting sober, and then came around then, and then she relapsed, and it was kind of like, we got to figure out what we're going to do with this. And I can't keep having this circle keep going. So then my brother had my nephew, Hendrix, and he let her come back around again, and she just kept doing her own old stuff, and just we had to kind of cut her out completely.
Yeah. So during the time she was in the home, I guess she had the drinking problem. Was it like just a chaotic household, or was it just like a her
No,
thing?
it was actually, to be honest, like all the way up until like when I was in 6th grade, it was like the cleavers. You know, my dad would go to work he worked nights, so he'd go.
Yeah.
He'd sleep all day, and like summertime, for example, we'd have to be outside playing because we couldn't wake him up. He had to go to work at 6. So, but no, she would do laundry, cook, clean, the whole nine. She would have, you know, if it was cold out, she'd have our clothes in front of the heater, and
Okay.
good mom, you know, she was. And then, but she was a functioning addict. It wasn't really alcohol as much as it was drugs.
Right.
But she was functioning as a mom because there was no one to really check her. But, you know, her 6 and 8-year-old aren't going to say, hey, your eyes look fucked up. What's going on?
Right.
So, yeah, other than that, she was, like I said, she was a great mom up until she wasn't, you know.
Yeah.
So
During your high school wrestling career, what made you? Did you stop after high school, or?
I actually stopped my junior year. Again, I did it since I was in 2nd grade. So it was just like, that's how I lived. That's how I lived. And I just kind of got burnt out of it, to be honest. And
Okay.
my friends started, you know, going to house parties and doing that kind of thing. And I'm like, I felt left out, and I wanted to do those things. That's what high school is all about. And around that time, I wasn't as good as I used to be. So I wasn't winning state championships or anything like that. So I'm like,
That was actually my next question.
Yeah. So now I won some tournaments and stuff like that. I wasn't bad, but I never, you know, won regionals or state and anything like that. So I was kind of just a mediocre wrestler, but still loved to do it, and it was a passion of mine.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, girls and parties and
Yeah.
going out cruising with my friends in their cars is different appeal.
I remember when I was in middle school, me and my friends sitting on a porch. This is like after 8th grade, summer after 8th grade, and we're about to go into high school. We're just like, I'm never drinking. I'm never smoking. We're just gonna play ball, and like, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna be like just good kids, and we're gonna get it done, and we're gonna go play ball in college. Since we had high school, we're just like, oh shit, where the bitches at? And then the bitches are over there with the beer and the fucking weed.
Yeah. They're over here with who's running laps before school. They're not worried about that.
Yeah, man. Oh man, that's crazy. All right, so yeah, locked in athlete, and then I guess later on in the process, you decided, you know what, like I'm good.
Yeah. So I started kind of partying a lot, and kind of like you said, you know, when I was in 8th grade, before I started doing this party stuff, but my mom overdosed. I'm like, I'm never doing drugs, never doing this, and I swore to it, you know. And then and I started smoking weed, which is not a big deal, but still always no on everything else. And it got me my senior year in high school, and then I went downhill. That's right after I quit playing sports. I didn't have any more discipline or anything to look forward to, and I just kind of went off the deep end a little bit.
Yeah, so this was like kind of like a slight culmination of things. It was kind of like stop playing sports. Mom was out of the house due to alcoholism. Dad's working late.
I'm partying.
The stars aligned.
100%.
Yeah. So you were just outside, just getting it. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
The fact that I'm not dead or in prison is crazy right
Impressive,
now.
Yeah.
Okay. So all right. So after high school, you dive into the party scene, and so what was like after that? Like get into that life.
So it was actually like during high school, we would have friends who would like, their parents would like let us party at their house. They'd go buy us a keg and a bunch of beer, and we just party at their house because they knew we were safe. It was either that or driving down to a desert party, going to find deserts and just have big bonfires and party that way. And there was a lot of people getting hurt, burned, fights. Just it wasn't a good outcome. So there was 2 that would always, we just like rotate a weekend at their house. And yeah, I got a pretty regular, if that makes sense. It was just every weekend. And then, like I said, the drugs came involved. I was going to the casino at night and then going to school at 6 in the morning and then repeat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was for sure the addict's lifestyle.
Yeah.
So this is you and your brother at the time, or just you?
Just me. My brother was always, he still played sports. He was never big enough to like go further than high school and stuff, but he was always smart, always a collegiate, just a studious kid. He wanted to go to college and get a good job, and Hence why he's a doctor now and I'm not.
Oh, damn.
So what was that like? What effect did that have on your relationship when you got away from the athletics and you got into the whole party scene, and he stayed like a scholar? Like,
Yeah.
How'd that affect your relationship?
So towards the end of high school, because again, we're 2 years apart. So I was a senior when he was a sophomore, but all of my friends, their younger brothers and him were friends. And they were partying too, but not at that level. You know, they didn't work drinking as sophomores, but you know, they would dabble here and
Just
there.
basic high school shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then when I started going out the deep end, we hated each other, to be honest. Like we just couldn't stand it. Even though we had the same friends and kind of same people, we just didn't get along. We just hated each other for probably 4 years. And then I'm talking like going to bars. Like once he turned 21, I got sober when I quit doing drugs when I was like 23.
Okay.
So even at like 21, I'm going to the bars all, you know, looking like a zombie.
Yeah.
He's the other friends, like we wouldn't even talk to each other.
Wow.
Oh man.
But then when I got just done with it, I just quit. I quit smoking cigarettes and quit doing drugs like the same day. And then now he's my best friend. Like it's like for 4 years it was real rough. Like we weren't as close as one would think, you know, or we should have been. So.
What pulled you out of it?
Good question.
I literally, again, was just tired of looking at myself in the mirror like, that's not you. You know, my teeth were getting all jacked up. I'm like, this is not conducive to what I started partying for, which was girls. You know, what am I doing here?
Right.
And so I got the flu. And then I just couldn't, I didn't have the energy to
Fight it.
go get high or go smoke a cigarette. So I was sick for like a week. And then after the week, I'm like, well, if I can do it for a week, I can just not. So I just quit. I
Hell yeah.
just slept and ate and slept and ate and repeated for another like week and a half. And then I find there's another urge. And now I can't even stand the smell of cigarettes or, you know, like anything like that. I can't stand the smell of it. So
Now that I think of it, yeah, I've actually never seen you smoke a cigarette.
no, I don't do that.
Yeah, you don't even.
That's
you don't even
actually
hang
wild.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think about it.
You know, like I was probably 22 when I got sober, but like 28, I was all drinking with my friends, and I hit a cigarette. I'm like, no, get this out of here. It was like the urge was gone, the thrill was gone.
I'm off that now.
I'm off. It's gross. Ew.
What a good feeling, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so you said somewhere between 20 and 23, you said you got off and you were just
Correct.
completely done.
Correct.
So where were you in life at that point? Because you said you jumped into the party scene, so you had to be working, or were you selling drugs, doing drugs?
So I was working. I was working at Best Buy, functioning drug addict. Then I wanted to go. Some trip happened I wanted to go to, and I didn't go. I tried to call it sick from work. I tried to get off from work, and they told me no. So I called in sick, and they fired me from Best Buy. And
Sounds like Best Buy.
Yeah,
I used to work for them.
Yeah, and then I started doing odd jobs. Right after high school, actually, I went to work for a Chevy dealership. So I was a lot attendant. So I was like still on drugs, but I was, I'd go to work and just park cars that come to the service alley. And then I got clean while I was working at the dealership.
Okay.
So I was able to advance. And then I went to work for the parts department. And then the lube rack. I was a light line mechanic doing little stuff.
Okay.
An opportunity to work in the parts department, which that was a cool job because you just drove a golf cart around and dropped parts off to these mechanics and bullshitted with them. So that was dope. So I did that, but all the while I was like bouncing from friend's house to friend's house because my dad, tough love, him and my stepmom, like you gotta beat it for a while until you get your shit together.
Right.
And then I did, and then when I got my shit together, I was like, well, I'm doing okay. So I got an apartment with a friend of mine.
Okay.
And then that lasted for a while, and then what happened after that? I got sick. I worked in a dealership, and started being an electrician, and I moved in with a buddy. At that point. So that's when I got my first apartment. I was like 24, 25. My first place by myself because I was couch surfing or
Turn him up.
living at people's houses and stuff like that.
So your stepmom, she came into the picture. So it sounds like you had a lot of respect for her, like when she came in.
At first, No, she was the other woman kind of deal, you know. It wasn't like the other woman, but she was the next person after my mom, and I was like, I don't know. And she was just kind of stuck in her ways, and she had discipline, and we didn't. So she was trying to like enforce that stuff, and we were like, get out of here, lady. Like, who are you?
Yeah.
So we rebelled. My brother big time rebelled. he was just like not having it, and so we just fought with her. But later on, when I got older, she was cool. You know, she wasn't bad.
True.
And then she passed away as well. She passed away when I was probably 28 or 29. My dad called me up and said she passed. It sucks, yeah, because she was a big time nurse too. She had more initials behind her name than I do in my entire name. You know what I mean? Like we just had levels. So
wow,
very. She was also respected at the hospital I worked at, so it was kind of weird.
Oh, nice. All right, so out of the dealership, and forgive me if you had already started telling that story. You got out of the dealership, and where did you start working after that?
I started doing electrician. I was building swimming pools.
Okay.
So
building swimming pools.
Yeah. So it was like we'd get 3 prints a day, and blueprints, and we'd get in our work truck and drive to the house and dig trenches and run conduit, pull the wire, wire everything up, and then on to the next one. And this is Phoenix, so it's 115 degrees.
Yeah.
Not cold.
No, and then you're getting in a big metal bowl because it's still just rebar in this big hole. So everything you touch is 120 degrees. It was dirty jobs. I always said, why is this guy doing a dirty job instead about my job? Because this is pretty bad.
Right.
Make good money?
It was for my age, yeah. I think back then it was started like $12 an hour with no experience, and
back when 12 was fire.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
especially in Arizona. You know, your rent is it was like $650 for a 1-bedroom at that time.
God.
So yeah, it's unheard of, right? But it not only did it kind of help me stay off dope because I couldn't get high and go to work in those conditions.
Yeah,
but I learned a trade, you know, and it was that's one of the most important things I ever did was learn that trade because it's kept me fed and roof over my head ever since. Actually, I still do side jobs with electrical work, so it's it was a blessing for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So at this point, so you're still in Arizona, and all right. So tell me about like when you started to transition towards San Diego. Like, where'd that idea come from?
Well, so when I was working in the electrician field, I left the job I started at, then opened my own little. I was doing piecework, so I had to go get my own material. They would give me 3 prints a day, and they would pay me piecework $450 a pool.
Oh, wow.
So I was making good money at the point, you know, like $80,000 a year. I was making that, so was my partner. And then one day, this guy just got too big for his britches, and we got laid off. He shut everything down. So I'm driving home from work, and hold on, rewind. So after this, I got with my ex-fiance, and I was with her for 13 years in the whole. But at this point, it was only like 3 years into the relationship, and she had 2 kids. We were living together. We had just got a house, and I got laid off. So I'm like, fuck, man.
And you're mid to late 20s at this point.
I'm 29 years old, yeah, and I'm raising at this point 4 and a 6-year-old.
Oh wow!
So we're not talking like babies. We're talking like daycare, so we can go to work, and then like after school programs. Once they get into school, it's just so money.
Yeah.
So
You're a young guy making good money.
I got my own house,
shelling it out.
Yeah, it's coming. It's going out as fast as it's coming in.
Yeah.
And so I'm driving home on the freeway, the 101, and I'm driving. I'm like, what am I gonna do? And I used to serve when I was like 16 at IHOP, you know, or at Denny, and then at Denny's, my buddy's dad's restaurant. And then I'm driving home, and I see this sign right by Westgate where the Cardinals play and the Coyotes play in Glendale. I lived right by there, so I'm driving. There's a big billboard saying Margaritaville hiring. So I pulled over, applied. They're doing open interviews. They hired me on the spot. So I kind of lied and said, "Oh yeah, I've been serving for a while." I got the job, and then
that's how a lot of people get into the industry.
Yeah,
from what I hear.
Fake it till you make it, kind of thing. And but I knew because this was a brand new restaurant at this caliber, they were going to do like full on training. The restaurant wasn't even open yet, so they were gonna like train these people. So it was like college. It was like every single night from 6 o'clock till 10 o'clock. You're in this big lecture hall with like 300 people, cooks, retail people, servers, bartenders, barbacks, bussers, everybody. The whole restaurant business was at this school.
Yeah.
For Margaritaville, all hires, and they flew in this team from. They used to work for Planet Hollywood out of Florida. Flew them in, and
Jesus,
it was intense. And like every day we'd go over the appetizers, and then the drinks or whatever. But when the next day you had to take a test, but the test was like a blank piece of paper with Cobb salad or whatever. And you had to write every single ingredient. So your hand was like, it was gnarly. It was very intense, and I'll never forget going through that. But by the end of it, I was confident enough I could be a server anywhere. So started as a server at Margaritaville. It was busy. Brand new restaurant, 2 stories. So I just hustled and got good at my job and told them I had interest in being a bartender, and they let me bar back a couple shifts, and then I was doing good, and I'd bartended like at my friends' parties and stuff like that. And cocktails were like my favorite movie. It's like I wanted to like live like Tom Cruise, like go to Jamaica or whatever and throw bottles on the beach somewhere. And so that was my dream. And then I told them I wanted to bartend, and I finally got the chance. And I started bartending at Margaritaville, and I became a corporate trainer for them. Started opening up restaurants, and then I opened up Hawaii, and it was over. I'm like, this is it. I'm not going nowhere else. I'm staying here.
Chilling.
So I literally, I went out there to train and open it up, and I came back, and I told my GM and the GM that I was out there that I want to transfer. And so they did. They let me transfer straight over. They didn't move me, though. I had to move myself, whatever, but I kept my tenure or whatever. Started bartending there, and I just loved it. I fell in love with the beach, fell in love with just that kind of lifestyle. And it was great. And then about 2.5, almost 3 years later, the kids that I was raising called me, said, hey, we're going to start playing football. Can you come back through and coach us? I'm like, oh, man. Yeah, so I did it. My dad he had MS my entire life, but he got really sick towards this time.
Right.
So it just made sense to move back to Phoenix.
For sure, yeah.
So I moved back to Phoenix, started coaching the kids, got back with their mom after we already split up. We were together for 4 years after that. My dad was progressively getting sick. Yeah. Me and her broke up. Then I started taking care of my dad more. And then when he passed, my brother and my nephew, it's my only family I have left, lived in San Francisco. So I'm like, either go back to Hawaii but San Diego's like the next best thing. So I'm like, I'll move to San Diego. So I literally worked for like a year and paid my bills and stacked some cash and got a U-Haul and just moved out here.
Okay. So when you and your girl had broken up, were you still in the boys' lives at this point, or how did that go down?
I was like not living there, but I, taught them how to drive and all that stuff while we were apart. Yeah. They would call me all the time, if they needed something or whatever. No, they're cool. They're young men now, but I was still in the boys' lives a little bit, and then. When I had the opportunity to move, I sat them down and said, hey, I'm going to take this opportunity. And they were in high school at this point. And they're like, okay, we get it. No problem. Yeah. So I took off and still kept in contact with them. I talked to them all the time, and especially like on holidays and their birthdays and what have you. But, life happens and you got to move on. And you only got one of these, so you got to do what's best for you.
All right. So, all right, no longer with Margaritaville. You slid back to Phoenix, did the Phoenix thing for a little bit. You and your girl break up. The sad passing of your father. You now decide to, you said you packed up a U-Haul, slid up to San Diego. You get to San Diego, and what was the goal?
Actually, so I was working at Gordon Biersch in Phoenix, and that's why I was stacking cash. And I'm like, when I move out here, I can have a job at least.
Transfer.
So I did a transfer out here. Packed a U-Haul up, just transferred out here. Actually, I didn't even transfer. This Margaritaville was, it wasn't doing so hot because it was seasonal. So I quit. I was working another job, but I just said, hey, phase me out. Let's pick up shifts kind of deal. And so they did that. And I was working at a taco shop kind of deal. It was like a Mexican restaurant bar. And then I came out here to look for places, and I went to Gordon Biersch and said, hey, I worked here, and he called and checked up on me, and he said, "You're hired. Just tell me a week before you're into San Diego, and I'll put you on a schedule."
Got it.
So I had a job lined up. So that was kind of one thing I didn't have to worry about, which is amazing. But the goal was to come out here and because I'm a welder as well, so I used to do some welding, went to welding school, and I wanted to work in the shipyards, but that's just hard to get into. And then when I found out what it entailed, as far as you're not going to make all the money at first. You got to start in the grunts, and I was making more money bartending than I would have been working in the shipyard, burning myself by all the berries and stuff like that. So like quality of life is everything for me, and that would have been a good quality of life for me. No. So I just opted out of that after like 6 months of being here. I'm like, that's a pipe dream. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So I started focusing more on bartending and honing my craft, because I've already been doing that by this point, 10 years, 12 years, if that. I mean, at least. But I told myself I wanted to get into management because this is my career. Being a restaurant guy isn't like what I'm going to do. Yeah. So I had to make the right moves to get to that level where I could, put myself in a position to become a manager or a GM or an owner at one point, Okay. So that's the goal. That's always been the goal since I got here.
Okay. All right, so
how far away from like ownership do you think you are?
Oh, wow. I got a lot to learn still, to be honest with you. Even though you're in this business at all aspects, whether that be serving, bar backing, bartending, supervising, or managing, there's a different encounter every single day you got to deal with or get a solution for. There's no handbook to this. They might give you one when you start, but that's just where the straws are at. It's pretty basic stuff,
right.
Yeah. The people coming in here with looking for their broken high heel piece, like that's like what why would I have that? It's like, it's weird stuff, and you got to still be nice to the customer because you want them to come back. And there's people as well; they have feelings, and I've made a fool out of myself before as well. So it's not like they're any different than me. But there's a fine line. There's a lot to learn still. I have a lot to learn still.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what was the road like to Rabbit or to Social Syndicate? And you can start to get into your, I guess let's call it your infatuation with comedy. Like when did that start to come about?
Well, my infatuation with comedy started when I was a kid. Like I saw Carlin. My dad would play Cheech and Chong records and Carlin, and where Carlin did his 7 forbidden words, it was at the Tempe Improv. So I was like kind of infatuated that he did that in my city. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I saw Delirious. Eddie Murphy Delirious changed my life when it came to comedy. So always been infatuated with comedy since then. But as far as the road to Rabbit Hole and Social Syndicate, again, I was working at Gordon Biersch, and I was living right down the street here, and I applied here. So Troop, the guy who used to run this place, rest in peace, his brother Billy and I worked together at Gordon Biersch, and we were friends. And this place was popping, and it was like a hot commodity. I'm like, I want to get in there. And he was never like the guy to like, oh, I'm not gonna, you got to get yourself in it. I'm like, yeah, I respect that. So I came and applied, and I knew his brother Troop from here, Steven. So I applied, and I applied again, and then I called again, and then he's like, I'll get you in here when I can. And then another manager from Wonderland, a different restaurant, had me interview with in OB. So
shout out to Wonderland. We will be in OB doing a podcast episode
shout
one day.
out Wonderland.
Yeah, big ups to Wonderland. Right.
So one of our his name's Andrew Vick. He's a good dude. One of my mentors, actually. I learned a lot from this guy. But he had a Gordon Biersch background. And so when he knew I was trying to get in here, he had me go interview over at Wonderland for a job over there. Just didn't work out over there. They hired somebody over here, and I was kind of bummed. I'm like, man, that sucks. That was my shot. Yeah. So I go back working at Gordon Biersch, and I had like 3 interviews. Like I was there. I'm like, all right, it's mine. I got it. And then just didn't get it. I was bummed. And then I get like maybe 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from Steven. I'm at work behind the bar at Gordon Biersch. He's like, you still want that job? I'm like, absolutely. I get off at 4. I can be there at 4:30 to sign paperwork. Like, what do you want me to do? He's like, yeah, you're in. So what happened was the guy they hired didn't like, how he ran things here, or he didn't like something. So one Saturday he just walked out.
Just bounced. Yeah.
And so that was my shot. Him walking out of here gave me the opportunity to walk in and started bartending, and I've been here 6 years.
Okay.
Started bartending, and now I'm the AGM here. So.
Nice. And your GM, Big John.
Big John
have a good
is
relationship.
Big John is the GM. Yeah, he's amazing. I learned a lot from him as well. I mean, like I said, this whole social syndicate group is just, they've been around, all of them, from our ownership. They're all bartenders. They've all or ex-bartenders.
Yes, it is time to kiss some ass. So go ahead.
All the way from the CEO, all the way from the CEO down. So it's like I'm constantly learning from these guys. It's pretty cool, and ladies, because I've learned. Shout out Jess Cox, what's up, girl? I've learned a lot from these people. You know what I'm saying? So it's been a really cool journey and learning experience for me, to be honest. So.
And when did Troop pass again?
Oh man, you're gonna put me on the spot. It was right after COVID. Right after COVID, yeah.
Okay, because I'm new to the old North Park Adams.
I want to say it was May of 21. Don't quote me on that, but it was right after COVID.
Okay, yeah, because since I started around here, like I've heard the name a million times. Obviously, you see the picture up at Rosie's.
He's a legend on this block. He was the mayor of Adams Avenue. His story is pretty good. I'm not going to really get into it too much, but he used to work across the street at Rosie's. Mm-hmm. He was a GM there for a long time, had the opportunity to come and grow with this company, and he took it and he grew, and he made his place what it is. He did a lot for the brand. He's just, he was all around great dude.
Was it the ownership had Rosie's and then they decided to buy Rabbit Hole, or they had Rabbit Hole decided to buy Rosie's?
That one. We had Rabbit Hole already. Rosie's went up for sale, and Troop loved that place. He was there for so long, and he it was his idea, I'm pretty sure. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And they pulled the trigger and they got it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. And then a big job was a big part of that as well. So.
Okay. All right, so to talk more about comedy, I know you just had, who was the gentleman you just had here a couple of weeks ago?
Zane Lampley.
Lampley.
He did 3 sheets. He was on, I don't want to compare him to Anthony Bourdain, but he would just travel all over the world and just eat and drink on local fare, or he would drink at their bars, and the next morning he would go do like their hangover remedies, like through whatever culture he was at.
Okay, yeah. Shout out Zane. I'll probably tag him in this video.
Yeah. Zane Lamprey. He was very funny too. He packed the house. It was cool.
It was actually hilarious.
Yeah, me and Zay were actually talking about that during our setup. I was wondering. I was like, how the fuck did they get a stage back here? And then he showed me that little riser right there.
Yep, that's all. It's all he needed. And then we moved these fire pits out and had 100 chairs in here, and it was intimate. It was very intimate, but it was cool. It was really cool.
Oh, so these fire pits aren't really hard to move.
They are, but once you get all the rocks and everything out, it's no problem. It's a little bit of a process, but
sorry for the listeners, but
I know. But yeah, so it's the comedy shows we did back here were pretty cool. I've had some heavy hitters. I had Jonathan Kite from Two Broke Girls.
Nice.
I had
shout out Kat Dennings.
Yeah, I had Steve Fury, which is one of my favorite that we had here. He is hilarious. He's actually got his own show at the Comedy Store on Sunset now.
Okay.
It's called Fury's Friends or something like that. But he's really good. Mm-hmm. And then a local legend here, he used to live in Kensington. His name is Zoltan Cassis. He is very, very funny. He just moved to New York, I think, because he's getting there. He's really good.
Okay. Who's the other guy? Black guy. They said he used to work the door at Rosie's.
Brian Simpson.
I
couldn't get him in here because right when I was kind of setting this off, he is blowing up, and I think he's one of the MCs at Joe Rogan's new place, the Mothership in Austin.
Yep.
In fact, he was just here on Saturday. Brian Simpson, not in the neighborhood. He had a show here.
Oh wow!
And a bunch of people went from Rosie's, and
is that Laugh Factory in La Jolla?
It's a comedy store in La Jolla.
Comedy store,
yeah. But I'm not sure if that's where he was at or Madhouse. He used to work at Madhouse as well.
Okay.
And that's the only reason why I said I could have probably tried to get him in here is because he used to work at Rosie's, and Misty, a friend of mine, she worked with him at Laugh Factory. I'm sorry, at Madhouse and at Rosie's. Mm. So she was like, "Let's see what we can do," but he just moved.
But you said Mitzi for a second, like Mitzi
Shaw.
No,
I
was like, wait.
No. I wish you knew Misty Shore. Rest in peace.
Oh,
Legend.
R.I.P.
Legend.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I was watching this podcast with Brian Simpson. He was on the podcast. It's called Raw Room. It's like these NFL players talk about what goes on. You seen that?
Yeah.
And then he was telling his story about when he was living in San Diego. He said his roommate was a weed dealer, and he said some NFL players came by to get some weed. I guess he didn't know who the NFL player was, and he was talking shit about him. He was like, yo, this guy sucks or some shit like that. And the dude was standing right next to him. He was like, the dude was just mean mugging him. They bought the weed and they just bounced out. He was
I'm
like,
out of here.
Yeah, that shit was hilarious, man. But so what's it? So you already say your day to day. It's like it's different every day. What's it like managing this group of people? Because I think I've met most of the staff here. Like I'm. A lot of nice girls that work here.
Yeah.
I met some of the guys that do like the bar backing. Obviously, Greg, he bartends and shit like that. Our boy Greg, I'll probably get him on the podcast soon. But so what's it like managing this group of people?
It's cool, man. Like I said, we have all different personalities here, especially over the years I've been here. But this group right now is really cool. We got a good, solid crew.
You can shout them out by name if you want.
They're accountable. I can, like Kira, for example. I know I can be in the office writing a schedule or, doing a podcast right now, and she'll have the floor locked down. I don't have to worry about it. Yeah. Same with Hannah, and I got a couple. Karen, she's good. All my staff is really good here. Everyone behind the bar, so I don't have to worry about too much because they're all pretty accountable and they do their job, and that's important for a restaurant to run smoothly. But it's also important for management because it's less stress and less babysitting, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a good squad here. Very good squad.
Kara's dope. Who else? Shout out some names.
Well, shout out Greg. Like I said, me and Greg.
Shout out Greg.
Greg's been here for a long time as well. Me and Greg used to be in the trenches together behind that bar. So
yeah,
shout out Greg, big time.
Yeah, meeting Greg, talking to Greg the past it's almost been a year that I've been around you guys. The one thing I thought about that guy was he's probably next up. Obviously, you're the manager and then John's up there, but I was like, he's got to be next up.
Yeah, he's actually runs our bar program. So any cocktails we have, Greg makes them. Greg's a very good bartender. And then we got a good over at Rosie's. We have half that staff over there is they started here, so we call it Rosie Acres. It's like a retirement home from all the rabbit hole. But yeah, we have staff. Brittany, Ileana, and Michael all used to work over here, and they're all family. So it's like I said, it's a beautiful thing, social syndicate, and this whole family, Rabbit Hole and Rosie's, and this whole block actually is pretty awesome. North Heights community. So, pretty blessed to be where I'm at.
Hell yeah. You got any more questions, Zay?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, I'm real curious as to what made you want to be in the restaurant business? What after working there, what made you want to keep and make this your actual career?
I like the aspect that it's kind of jet set. You can work, for 4 months and stack a bunch of money and then take a week off and go on vacation and come back to your job without losing vacation time, or there is no vacation. You know what I'm saying? It's just you got to they call it like a jet set, so I can do whatever I want. I can work as hard as I want or as little as I want in this industry. When you're in the when you're a server or a bartender, they give you a store pretty much. That's why I look at it. They give me a store of their product, and all I gotta do is sell it out of my store, and I get to keep the money. It's just a no-brainer.
And this industry, it kind of saved you in a way.
Oh yeah,
you were in a tough spot, and you ended up applying. You got the job, and then obviously, when you go through, you said, that big training program when you had to be around all those people and write out the menu and stuff like that. When you go through training like that, I mean, obviously you develop a passion and a respect for it. So
100%.
I can see how that kind of just sticks in you.
And again, another trade. For me, it's all about trades. So I don't think I'll ever be homeless again because. Because like I said, when I was bouncing around couch to couch, that to me, I didn't have an address. So I was kind of a homeless person, in that sense. I slept in some parks, here and there, but it wasn't nightly.
Yeah.
But I'll never do that again because like I said, I'm an electrician. I can bartend. I can do a little welding. So I got a lot of trades to back me up. So I'm not. That's what it was about. Is just learning stuff. So I'm never going to go back to school. I wasn't a good scholar, so.
Right.
I just had to learn a bunch of trades to get me through, and it's been good. I mean, I travel. I just got back from Thailand, as you guys know.
Yep.
It's great, man. I love it. I love this industry. But yeah, like I said, what got me into it is kept me doing it is just that. It's like my first show in Margaritaville, we had the BCS championship game there, and then we had the Super Bowl game there, and then we had another couple big events, and it was just like gangbusters. And me and like 7 people took a week off and went to Hawaii for the Pro Bowl. We just flew out there and got a room, and it was just like, I'm like, this is what I want to do. And that's kind of when I fell in love with Hawaii, is that Pro Bowl trip. And then fast forward, Margarita was opening up a store there. I'm like, say less, I'm in.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, I'm glad to hear that story. You're kind of like a personification of what I wanted or what I want to make out of this channel. Because like, we're not just here to entertain, do interviews and stuff like that. I also like want to get into the whole self-improvement space and things like that, and personal development, all that shit. I think I mentioned it to you in our previous talks, and just your story of like how you said you were on drugs, you were down, but like you never stopped. You kept learning trades. You just figured shit out, and then eventually you just found that one thing. And you said, this is it. You locked in, and then now you're in a good place right now. The future looks bright.
Yeah, it does, and it like you said, it's all about how you look at it, and that's exactly how it was. Like I was like, I got to quit doing this. I want to be dead or in jail. Yeah, and so I made a move and just kept making them until, and we're still making moves. You know, I'm still trying to always growing and learning, and I want to be the GM of this place here soon. You know, I want to be, you know, an owner of I want to buy into one of these places. You know, like I want to. That's the goal.
We can have Big John whacked. We can get shout out Big John.
Shout out Big John.
Big John interview coming sometime this year.
Yeah, no, but seriously, it's beautiful industry. It's beautiful. Like I said, it's fun. It's just fun. I like booking the bands. I like the music aspect of it. I like doing the comedy shows, as well as, you know, giving people good dishes and good quality cocktails. It's just great.
Mm-hmm. One thing Taj asked me at the end of the last episode was, what's one way or how do you want to better yourself this year?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think health, actually. Health is one thing I got to do better with. Whether that's eating better, going to the gym more, just get my health in order, you know. Like I said, I'm 42, and I've had friends that are dying at my age, you know, and it's like or younger, you know, right. Or it's scary. You never think you're going to get there, but we get there every day, you know. So I would say health, big time.
Talk about health. You yelled at me last week when I don't know if you remember. You were probably drunk off your ass. We were at Rosie's, and I was behind the bar, and you ordered like a slew of drinks, and I was like, enough, Josh. You were like, shut up. Be quiet, Marquise.
Yeah. Got to make my people happy. So I'm like, I'm like Oprah when it comes to getting drinks.
And you were off.
I was
just
off.
For the record,
yes.
social.
It was party time. It was party time.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, man. Hey, Josh, thanks for coming through.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, guys. Seriously.
Damn, how do we outro this? Episode 2. Josh Blanton. Oh, anything you wanna plug before we get out of here?
No, we got nothing going on really too much. We have a Smile art show coming up March 9th. So if you're interested, go look at Rabbit Hole Instagram or Smile's Instagram, SMYLE. It's a cannabis company, but they're doing a big art show back here with DJs, and it's a big it's an art contest. Art contest. So make sure you check that out, March 9th.
All right. You heard it. Smile, SMYLE. And you can check me out on Instagram at Taj, TAJ.Ayana, AYANA. That is Taj.Ayana. And Zae, you want to plug your socials or anything?
No.
All right. Zae's got no socials. And
Irie_Zona1. Let's go.
Arizona, and I will make sure to leave his information in the description. That is episode 2 for Thought I Was Cool. I am Taj Ayana. That is my co-host Zae. This is our special guest, Josh Blanton. Peace.